Millionaire abandons a newborn blind horse. A girl rescues it. What happens next? The sprawling estate of Lexington Hills, known for its world-class horses and opulent ranches, glimmered under the golden hues of the early morning sun. Rows of finely manicured pastures stretched as far as the eye could see, dotted with magnificent horses that were prized possessions of their wealthy owners. Among them was William Hargrove, a self-made millionaire and a renowned name in the equestrian world. His ranch was legendary, boasting champion horses that fetched fortunes at auctions and brought him immeasurable fame. That morning, William stood with his arms crossed, surveying the barn with a critical eye. A small group of ranch staff huddled nearby, nervously glancing at their boss. Inside the barn, a mare had just given birth to a foal. But this was no ordinary birth. The foal, though delicate and beautiful, struggled to find its footing. Its legs wobbled as it attempted to stand, and its big, clouded eyes blinked aimlessly at the surroundings. One of the stable hands hesitated before stepping forward. "Sir, it seems the foal. It's blind." William's face hardened. He stepped closer, his polished boots echoing on the barn's concrete floor. The foal's tiny, fragile frame trembled as it nuzzled against its mother, searching for comfort. William's sharp eyes took in the scene, but there was no tenderness in his gaze, only cold calculation. "Blind?" he repeated, his voice laced with disappointment. The stable hand nodded, his gaze dropping to the floor. "Yes, sir. It won't be able to race or breed quality stock." William sighed heavily, the weight of his ambitions overshadowing any spark of empathy he might have felt. "Then it's useless to me," he said curtly, turning on his heel. "Get rid of it. I don't care how. Just don't let it become an expense." The stable hands exchanged uneasy glances. "Sir, it's just a newborn." "I said, get rid of it," William snapped, his tone leaving no room for argument. Without another glance, he strode out of the barn, his designer suit untouched by the dust and hay of the working ranch. Hours later, the foal was loaded onto an old pickup truck, its frail body barely moving. The mare neighed mournfully as the truck drove off, her cries echoing through the quiet countryside. The workers, though reluctant, had their orders. The blind foal was to be abandoned on a deserted patch of land, left to fend for itself in a world it couldn't even see. As the truck sped away, the foal lay motionless, its small body trembling against the harsh wind. Alone and afraid, it let out a faint, heart-wrenching cry, a sound that seemed to carry on the breeze, searching for a savior. Unbeknownst to the millionaire or his workers, that cry would soon reach ears that couldn't turn a blind eye. A young girl, walking along the dirt road, would soon stumble upon the abandoned foal, changing both their lives forever. The pickup truck rattled down a bumpy dirt road, kicking up clouds of dust that hung heavy in the still air. In the back, the tiny blind foal huddled against the cold metal floor. It let out faint, broken cries, each one weaker than the last, as if it knew it was being cast away like an unwanted burden. The ranch hand driving the truck glanced into the rearview mirror, his brow furrowed with guilt. "This ain't right," he muttered under his breath, gripping the wheel tighter. He was a simple man, someone who had grown up around animals and understood their silent trust. But orders were orders, and William Hargrove was not a man to cross. The truck came to a screeching halt near an overgrown field on the outskirts of town. The area was desolate, surrounded by twisted trees and tall grass swaying gently in the wind. There were no homes, no signs of life, just endless silence. The ranch hand climbed out and walked to the back of the truck. For a moment, he hesitated, looking at the fragile creature lying helplessly in the bed. The foal's clouded eyes blinked aimlessly, its trembling body trying to make sense of a world it couldn't see. "Sorry, little one," he whispered, lifting the foal carefully in his arms. "You deserved better than this." He set the foal down in the tall grass, where it sank to its knees, too weak to stand. The man lingered, his heart heavy. But what could he do? He wasn't rich, and he didn't have the means to care for a blind horse. With a deep sigh, he walked back to the truck, leaving the foal behind. The sound of the engine roared to life, startling the foal, which let out a panicked cry. The truck drove away, leaving a plume of dust in its wake. As the sound faded, silence descended over the field once again. The foal's cries grew softer, echoing into the emptiness. Night began to fall, painting the sky with hues of orange and deep purple. The temperature dropped, and the foal shivered in the cool evening breeze. Its tiny body curled into itself, searching for warmth that wasn't there. Predators stirred in the distance, their howls and rustling footsteps a stark reminder of the danger lurking in the wild. But fate had other plans. As the last rays of sunlight dipped below the horizon, the faint sound of footsteps echoed down the dirt road. A young girl named Mia, no older than 16, walked home from a long day at the market. Her tattered shoes scuffed against the gravel as she carried a small basket of bread and a worn-out coat. She stopped abruptly, her ears catching a faint sound in the distance, a weak, almost pleading cry. Curious, she veered off the road, pushing through the tall grass. What she found stopped her in her tracks. A tiny, frail foal lay trembling in the dirt, its clouded eyes staring blankly ahead. "Oh my gosh," Mia whispered, dropping to her knees. "Who would do this to you?" In that moment, her heart made a decision. She couldn't walk away, not when this helpless creature needed her. Mia's arms ached as she carried the frail foal down the narrow dirt road, its body heavier than she had anticipated. The little creature whimpered softly, its breath shallow and labored. With each step, Mia's resolve grew stronger. She didn't know how she would manage, but leaving the blind foal to die alone was unthinkable. When she reached the small, weathered cottage she called home, her parents stood at the door, their expressions shifting from surprise to concern. "Mia, what on earth?" her mother began, but the words faltered as her eyes fell on the foal. "It's blind, Mama," Mia said, her voice trembling. "Someone abandoned it. I couldn't just leave it there." Her father sighed, running a hand through his graying hair. "We don't have the means to care for a horse, let alone one with special needs." "I'll take care of it," Mia insisted, her voice firm. "I'll feed it. I'll clean up after it. I'll find a way." Her parents exchanged a hesitant glance, but knew there was no changing her mind. Mia carefully laid the foal on a bed of hay in the corner of their small barn, where the family's old goat and chickens looked on curiously. The foal's fragile body seemed so out of place, its once sleek coat now matted and dull. Mia knelt beside it, gently stroking its head. "You're safe now," she whispered. "I'll call you Hope because that's what you are. Hope that things can get better." The next few days were grueling. Mia woke up before dawn each morning to fetch fresh water and prepare makeshift meals for Hope. With no money to buy proper feed, she scavenged for wild oats and borrowed scraps from the local market. Her hands blistered from hauling buckets, but she didn't complain. Hope, however, was weak and frightened. She refused to eat at first, nudging the food away with her nose. Every noise startled her, and she often stumbled in the small barn, her blindness making every movement a challenge. "It's okay, girl," Mia would coo softly, her voice a steady anchor in the foal's dark world. "I'm here." She began to hum to Hope, a gentle tune her mother had sung to her as a child. Slowly, the foal started to respond. Her ears twitched at the sound of Mia's voice, and she leaned into the girl's touch as if drawing strength from her presence. The townspeople weren't as kind. "You're wasting your time," one neighbor scoffed, watching Mia struggle to carry a sack of hay. "That horse is broken. It'll never be worth anything." But Mia ignored the whispers and snide remarks. To her, Hope wasn't just a blind horse. She was a life worth saving. One evening, after a long day of care, Hope took her first wobbly step toward Mia. The girl's eyes filled with tears as she watched the foal nuzzle against her hand, a small but powerful sign of trust. "You're going to be okay, Hope," Mia whispered, her heart swelling with determination. "We'll figure this out together." The crisp morning sun bathed the countryside in a soft glow, painting golden hues over the fields where Hope now cautiously roamed. Though her movements were still hesitant, her strides had grown stronger, more confident, under Mia's loving care. Mia had spent weeks training Hope, her voice becoming the horse's guide in a world shrouded in darkness. "Come on, girl," Mia encouraged, holding a piece of carrot in her outstretched hand. You can do it. Hope's ears twitched at Mia's voice. Step by step, she navigated the small paddock Mia's father had helped her fence off. Her once frail legs now carried her with determination, though she occasionally stumbled over uneven patches of ground. Mia clapped her hands as Hope reached her. Good girl. See? You're unstoppable. That same day, the town was abuzz with excitement. The annual equestrian championship was being held at a grand venue not far from Mia's village. Riders and spectators from all over gathered, their eyes fixed on the spectacle of majestic horses parading across the arena. Among the attendees was William Hargrove, seated in the VIP section with his polished boots resting casually on the railing. For William, this event was routine, a showcase of power, prestige, and wealth. But something about this year felt different. Whispers among the attendees spoke of a blind horse that had been spotted in the countryside. Some called it a miracle. Others dismissed it as a sentimental tale. William scoffed at the rumors. A blind horse thriving? Ridiculous, he muttered. Back in Mia's world, the day took an unexpected turn. While training Hope near the paddock, a loud commotion erupted in the distance. Mia turned to see a young boy, no older than 5, chasing after a stray ball that had rolled onto the village road. Before Mia could shout a warning, the boy tripped and fell in the path of an oncoming truck. Mia's heart leapt into her throat. She dropped everything and ran, but it was clear she wouldn't reach him in time. Before Mia could call out, Hope suddenly reacted. The blind horse's ears swiveled, picking up on the sound of the child's cries and the rumble of the truck. With a powerful whinny, she broke into a gallop, a bold, unsteady sprint guided by instinct alone. Hope, no, Mia shouted, terrified the horse would harm herself. But Hope didn't falter. In one swift movement, she reached the boy and skidded to a stop, shielding him with her body just as the truck screeched to a halt mere inches away. Dust settled in the air as the crowd gathered, their murmurs turning into stunned applause. The boy's mother ran forward, pulling her son into her arms. Tears streamed down her face as she looked at Hope with disbelief. She saved him, someone whispered. Mia rushed to Hope, her hands trembling as she stroked the horse's mane. You did it, girl. You saved him. Unbeknownst to Mia, William Hargrove, who had driven to the area after hearing the rumors, watched the scene unfold from a distance. His expression, for the first time, wasn't one of indifference. The morning of the equestrian championship was overcast, the sky a soft gray canvas. The atmosphere was charged with excitement, the air thick with anticipation as the crowd filled the grandstands, murmuring eagerly about the rumored blind horse. Word had spread quickly about the miraculous creature that had been saving lives in the village, but few believed the stories. To them, it was just another fairy tale. In the VIP section, William Hargrove sat with a quiet smugness, looking down at the horses parading in the arena. He had seen them all, champions with expensive bloodlines, horses that could fetch millions at auction. But as the day wore on, something gnawed at him. The rumors of a blind horse tugged at his curiosity. Was there any truth to the story? Mia, standing at the edge of the spectator area with Hope by her side, felt the weight of the moment. She had never been to an event like this, let alone with Hope, a horse so different from all the others. But Hope was more than just a horse to her. She was a symbol of what love, patience, and hope could accomplish. The air grew still as the main event began, a race of the region's finest horses. Mia could barely focus on the proceedings, her thoughts consumed by hope and the idea that people might finally see the power of love and resilience. But what happened next would change everything. Suddenly, a loud crash erupted from the direction of the stables. A young child, no older than 6, had wandered away from the crowd, chasing after a balloon that had gotten loose. The child was heading straight for the main arena where the horses were running, unaware of the danger. The crowd gasped, their attention momentarily diverted from the race. Mia's heart dropped. She watched, frozen in place, as the little boy stumbled forward, too focused on the balloon to notice the stampede of hooves galloping toward him. Without a second thought, Hope's instincts kicked in. The blind horse, who had spent so many months in darkness, reacted with a sharp, uncharacteristic urgency. Mia saw Hope's muscles tense, and before anyone could comprehend the situation, the horse surged forward, breaking free from Mia's grip and charging toward the arena. "No, Hope, stop!" Mia screamed, but the horse was already halfway to the child. The sound of thundering hooves grew louder, drowning out the panic-stricken cries of the crowd. In a stunning act of bravery, Hope, without sight, charged through the chaos, her hooves pounding the earth like a powerful drum. With a final burst of strength, Hope reached the boy just as the horses rounded the corner. In an incredible move, Hope blocked the path, her body forming a protective shield between the child and the oncoming stampede. The horses veered off to the side, narrowly avoiding Hope. The crowd let out a collective gasp, and then, as if realizing the miracle that had just occurred, erupted into applause. Mia rushed forward, breathless, her eyes wide with disbelief as she reached Hope and the child. The boy's mother ran to her son, scooping him up into her arms and whispering frantic words of gratitude. Hope, her chest heaving from the exertion, stood unwavering, her head held high as if she had accomplished something monumental. Mia knelt beside her, tears welling up in her eyes. "You did it, Hope," Mia whispered, her voice choked with emotion. "You saved him." And as the crowd continued to cheer, one person stood at the back of the arena, watching the scene unfold with astonishment. The same man who had once abandoned Hope, his eyes wide with shock and regret. William Hargrove couldn't believe what he had just witnessed. The blind horse he had cast aside had just proven to be more valuable than any of the prized champions he had ever owned. The roar of the crowd echoed in Mia's ears, but her focus was solely on Hope, standing strong and proud in the center of the arena. The boy had been safely returned to his mother, and the chaos of the moment was beginning to subside. Yet, Mia's heart raced as she looked at Hope, the horse that had become her best friend, her symbol of unwavering courage. The applause slowly died down, but the attention of the crowd didn't waver. Word of Hope's miraculous act had spread like wildfire, and every eye in the stadium was now on the blind horse that had saved a child's life. Mia, still kneeling beside Hope, could barely process the magnitude of what had just happened. She had always believed in Hope, but now, the whole world seemed to see her for what she truly was, a hero. As the dust settled, Mia stood and gently stroked Hope's mane, her fingers trembling. "You did it, girl," she whispered, tears blurring her vision. "You've proven that nothing is impossible, not even in the darkest of times." But the journey wasn't over. Hope's bravery had captured the hearts of those in the crowd, and Mia could feel the shift in the air. She turned to face the grandstands, where people were beginning to whisper excitedly amongst themselves. The whispers reached her ears, people talking about the horse that had saved a life, the horse with the kind of heart that made her more valuable than any champion in the world. And then, Mia saw him, William Hargrove, standing at the back of the arena, his expression unreadable as he watched her and Hope. He had come for the spectacle, the wealth, and the glory, but now, he was witnessing the real story unfolding before his eyes. He made his way toward Mia, his footsteps hesitant, as though unsure of how to approach her. When he reached her, there was a brief moment of silence before he spoke. "You were right," William said, his voice low but earnest. "I was wrong to think so little of Hope." He glanced at the blind horse, now resting calmly at Mia's side. "She's worth more than all the money I've ever spent on horses." "I see that now." Mia looked at him, surprised. "It's not about money," she said, her voice steady despite the flood of emotions inside her. "It's about seeing the value in a life, even when others don't." Hope proved that we don't need to be perfect to make a difference. William nodded, his eyes softening. "I made a mistake. I abandoned her because I couldn't see what she could become. And for that, I'm sorry." Mia's gaze never left him. She didn't need his apology, but she could see the regret in his eyes, the kind of regret that only came from realizing the consequences of one's actions. She took a deep breath before speaking again. "Hope doesn't need your apology," Mia said firmly. "She found her way, and she's found her family. I'm her family now." William hesitated for a moment, then reached into his pocket and pulled out a small envelope. "I want to help you," he said. You and Hope deserve more than just this small farm. Let me make things right." Mia shook her head, a soft smile forming on her lips. "No thanks. I have everything I need right here." She gently patted Hope's side. "I don't need riches to know how much she means to me." William stood there for a moment, taking in her words. Then, he turned and walked away. His shoulders slumped as if the weight of his actions had finally caught up with him. As he disappeared into the distance, Mia turned back to Hope, who nuzzled her gently, as though thanking her for never giving up. In that moment, Mia knew that Hope had shown her more than just the power of a horse's loyalty. She had shown her the true meaning of family, love, and the strength to stand up for what mattered most. And with that, Mia's world was forever changed. Together, with Hope by her side, she would continue to show the world that even the most unlikely of heroes could make a difference. If you were moved by this incredible story of Hope and Mia, don't forget to hit the like button and share it with your friends. Glowing Star. Make sure to subscribe to our channel for more heartwarming and inspiring tales that remind us all of the power of love, courage, and kindness. Sparkling Heart. Leave a comment below to let us know what part of the story touched you the most. Thank you for watching, and remember, heroes come in all shapes and sizes. Horseface Sparkle.